The moral of Wild Hearts is not man was the true monster all along, but it sure threatened to turn me into one a few hours before I started writing this review. I never imagined I could be one of those horrible rich people who stand over an endangered animal they just slaughtered for sport, a big Joker grin aimed at the camera. But when I finally killed the flying winged tiger that had been killing me for hours, I knew I had it in me. Wild Hearts is a hunting game that pontificates on the delicate balance of nature at every opportunity. But there were more than a few moments where I was ready to raise all of feudal Japan and be done with some of this game's more tedious fights and aggravating performance problems. Just like Capcom's Monster Hunter before it, Wild Hearts sets you on the trail of giant beasts that need culling. The line that developer Koei Tecmo is walking here is blatant. You can picture the writers sweating as they try to contort dialogue around the words hunt and monster, while every conversation is about the monsters you need to go out and hunt. The more significant difference between the two games is that in Wild Hearts you're going to find yourself fighting the same monsters many times long before you've reached the end game. Wild Hearts does excel in the moments where you're flying through the air with a claw blade latched into a monster's back, turning yourself into a projectile Edward Scissorhands, or when you land a third hit in a hammer combo string to crumple a monster's face in. Then there's the big gimmick, the Kakuri, the traps and tools you build mid-combat with button combos on a controller or a few key taps on a mouse and keyboard. The Kakuri can lead to thrilling moments, but most of the time it's just frustratingly clunky. There's a thinness to the gear system too. With so few kimono to fight, the best option of armor is always that kimono's own armor. With multiplayer hunts available, this is less of an issue, but solo Wild Hunt's gear grind is too slow, too repetitive, and too chunky, without a path to step-by-step upgrade older gear to keep it relevant for longer. The weapon system is better. It's a giant skill tree, which you can work your way through in any direction you please, without ever losing resources if you take a weapon back to an earlier node on the tree. There are more weapons in Kimono coming to Wild Hearts for free post-launch content, and it's possible a year now a fattened up bestiary will make for a much more elegant sense of progression. But right now Wild Hearts' problem runs deeper than just too few monsters. Dire PC performance makes me wonder why this game didn't have a few more months to cook. On an RTX 3070, I rarely got a consistent 60 FPS at 1440p, and changing the game's settings had little effect. For one PC gamer writer with an RTX 3060 Ti, Wild Hearts rarely averaged 30 FPS at 1080p. Wild Hearts simply doesn't look like a game that should be pushing PCs this hard. While the environments are dense, they are often simply lit and low-res textures are abundant. Publisher EA says there are plans to address a CPU bottleneck and add DLSS and FSR support, but my CPU typically hovered around 40% utilization. Whatever's going wrong here is on the GPU, and this game shouldn't need DLSS to hit a stable 60 FPS. Wild Hearts shipped with a half-formed idea. Its story and monsters are focused on nature, yet the game makes no effort to convey a real, living ecosystem. Finding kimono is as simple as pressing a button with no attempt at hunting them. If a few of the game's features were more robust, Wild Hearts may have been able to pass as a shrewdly streamlined hunting game. Compared to Monster Hunter, there's less in this game, less to this game, and it seems not to understand what fundamentally made the monster hunting in its clear inspiration so fun. This could be fun for some multiplayer, which it makes very easy and streamlined. It just works, which I can't say for the rest of the game.